Okay, so we've got this collection of reports here, all dated June 12th, 2025. Quite a range of stuff happening.
Yeah, it looks like a really busy snapshot in time. Politics, social issues, the economy, tech, even some difficult news.
Exactly. And what we want to do today is sort of dig into this material, pull out the key themes, and see how things connect. It feels like a very dynamic period, mostly U.S. focused, but with, global implications.
Definitely seeing those ripples.
What's really interesting, I think, is seeing how one area impacts another, a political choice, heating the economy, or how society reacts. So let's unpack it.
Right. Sounds good. Where should we start? Politics seems pretty active.
Yeah, let's dive in there. The reports highlight President Trump really pushing hard to get these new tax cuts finalized. The target date mentioned is July 4th. That feels incredibly quick.
It does. And the context given is very much about the upcoming midterm elections. It's framed as, well, an aggressive political play, aiming for that quick win, that electoral impact.
Makes sense strategically, I suppose. And layered on top of that, there's also movement on dismantling the Treasury's Financial Oversight Office, the one set up post-2008.
That's right. The office tasked with monitoring systemic risk, that's a significant potential shift in financial regulation.
And also proposals for cuts to public broadcasting. What's
Yeah.
the angle there?
Well, the reports suggest these cuts could hit local stations hardest, particularly in rural areas. The concern flagged is about potentially limiting access to diverse information sources for some communities.
Okay, so fast political moves happening with potentially broad consequences for financial oversight and maybe public information access.
Exactly. And while that's unfolding in D.C., the picture on the streets elsewhere is quite different. In Los Angeles, for example, reports mention over 200 detentions after protests that involve some vandalism.
And what really jumps out there is the friction between Governor Newsom and President Trump over using federal personnel, right?
Yes, that's a major point. Newsom is quoted saying federal troops aren't needed, but the president seems insistent and has apparently sent personnel regardless.
That really highlights that ongoing tension, doesn't it? Federal versus state authority, especially around internal security and handling unrest.
It's a classic flashpoint, and the reports say Newsom is actually trying to legally block more federal personnel from arriving, seeking an urgent hearing.
Wow. Okay, so that federal-state dynamic is definitely one to watch. Shifting focus slightly, but still a major public event. The Harvey Weinstein verdict is covered. Guilty in the new Manhattan trial for sexual assault.
Yeah, a very high-profile case, obviously. This verdict brings a specific legal chapter to a close, one that's had immense public visibility.
Definitely. Okay, let's pivot to the economy because, wow, it sounds like a confusing picture right now based on these reports.
Uh-huh. Very much so. You've got these conflicting signals like mortgage rates are apparently up, which could suggest inflation worries, but then Treasury bond yields are down. That often points towards investors seeking safety, maybe even fearing a downturn.
And oil and gold prices are rising too, which often happens when things feel uncertain or inflation is a concern.
Exactly. It's a mixed bag. And even Freddie Mac's forecast, while it predicts some moderate growth, it's apparently caveated really heavily, admitting there's high volatility.
So just pure uncertainty if you're a business trying to plan, or even just an individual trying to figure things out.
Pretty much. And the reports specifically mention the impact of Trump's fluctuating trade policies and tariffs, especially on smaller businesses.
How so? What are they saying?
Well, it's about resources. These tariffs mean small companies apparently have to spend time and money just on compliance, dealing with the changes, instead of, say, investing in growth or new products.
That makes sense. It diverts focus.
Yeah, and some reports even link layoffs directly to the pressure from these tariffs. Plus, there are legal challenges popping up against the tariffs, which just adds another layer of what happens next.
It's such a stark contrast, isn't it? You have small businesses struggling with this daily volatility, but then reports also mention big long-term investments happening, like AT&T hitting 30 million fiber connections.
Right, a huge infrastructure milestone. That reflects a massive long-term commitment to building out faster networks, a sign of optimism there.
But then, on the flip side,
Well, contrasting that, you have Chime, the fintech company, reportedly pausing its stock market debut, and they explicitly cite a cautious market environment as the reason.
okay, so that perfectly illustrates the mixed signals. Huge infrastructure projects moving forward, but market jitters holding back other ventures like IPOs.
Exactly. And that kind of divergence could potentially widen existing gaps like the digital divide, couldn't it?
That's a good point. Amidst all this economic uncertainty, though, science and tech seem to just keep charging ahead.
They really do. Reports mention Apple exploring a liquid crystal interface combined with AI for potentially 2026. Sounds like a move towards making devices feel more intuitive.
Interesting. And NVIDIA is looking at quantum computing as the next big thing for AI.
Yeah, they see it as the next frontier, promising capabilities way beyond what current computers can handle. It's still early days, but that's where the ambition is pointing.
And connecting back to that AT&T fiber news, you need those super fast, powerful networks to handle the data demands of advanced AI and eventually quantum computing, right?
Absolutely. The infrastructure has to keep pace with the computational advances. It paints a picture of accelerating tech, even if the economic present feels a bit shaky.
And in pure science, the giant Magellan Telescope project down in Chile got a key approval from the U.S. National Science Foundation. That's a big international effort.
Huge. It helps ensure U.S. involvement and leadership in Southern Hemisphere astronomy for decades to come. It's a great example of that long-term public-private investment in fundamental research.
Looking way ahead. Meanwhile, in medicine, there's work at Rice University using vibrating molecules to target cancer cells. That sounds pretty revolutionary.
It does. Early stage, presumably, but potentially groundbreaking. And the FDA has also approved some new cancer drugs. So progress on the treatment front.
But access is still a point of tension, isn't it? The reports mention the ongoing legal fight over telemedicine prescriptions for abortion pills.
Yes, that's a significant battleground, especially since Roe v. Wade was overturned. It highlights that tension between medical advancements or access methods and the legal or policy challenges surrounding them.
Some progress alongside very real challenges in healthcare access and policy.
Definitely.
Okay. And we unfortunately have to touch on some tragic news that was reported on the 12th as well.
Yes, the Air India crash. A Boeing 787 apparently crashed shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad, heading for London, came down in a residential area.
Just awful. 240 people on board.
Mm.
The reports mentioned fatalities both on the plane and tragically on the ground as well.
Yeah, nationalities included Indian, British, and Portuguese citizens. Just a devastating incident for everyone involved.
Absolutely heartbreaking. And the investigation is just starting, of course. But there will be significant implications for the airline. For Boeing, too, their stock reportedly dropped quite sharply.
A very somber reminder of the risks involved in aviation even today.
It really is. So stepping back and looking at everything from June 12th, it's quite a day. You've got these swift political moves, very visible social divisions, this incredibly uncertain economic landscape.
Paired with really significant advances continuing in science and tech, and then overlaid with this sudden, terrible tragedy.
It feels like multiple, sometimes competing stories are unfolding all at once. All this information, these events happening simultaneously makes you wonder, what does it all mean when you put it together?
It's a lot to process.
And it makes you think. The decisions being made, the things happening today, they feel impactful now, sure. But their real consequences, how they truly shape things, might only become clear much, much later. Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? How do you navigate a world where the seeds planted today might only show their full fruit years down the line?